I'll start at 5 minutes early, give people a chance to get there. It says I'm streaming live, so I take it I am. Yep, looks like it is. It's a little screen. I wonder if I can make that screen bigger. Obviously, I don't know what the heck I'm doing. Obviously, I don't know what I'm doing, guys. So, you know, just have to deal with it. You have to deal with PBT tonight. First of all, whoops. First of all, I forgot the camera I wanted to use. So I'm using a webcam instead of the camera that I have for it. So that's the first problem. All right, I guess that's going to work. Anyway, we're waiting for people. So thank you guys for showing up. It will be a good report once I get my act together here. I don't know why that thing's not working right. So I thought I'd turn this thing on about 5. Can you guys hear me? Let's just make sure you can hear me. Can you hear me? That's way too high. What's wrong with this thing? Let's see. Can you guys hear me? Oh, that's a miracle. I did one thing right, and that is I got the headset to work. What I didn't do was bring the good camera. So I'm using this webcam on here, and it looks like it's like 10 years old or something. You know what I'm saying? But as long as you can hear, it won't matter what else is going on. So let's wait a couple more minutes, folks. Just a couple more minutes for people, and then I'll get into it. There's a lot here tonight. Heidi's done a tremendous job, and so we're going to do this. Of course, normally I'll have the good camera. Tomorrow night I'll have the good camera instead of the webcam. And eventually the studio will be done, and so that'll be a whole different level. Matter of fact, we took some video of the improvements, and I got them on Heidi's phone, and I haven't uploaded them yet. Great to have everybody here, though. The Russian diplomat, this situation, folks, is getting, I don't even know how to say it. It's just getting deeper and deeper. It's chaos, isn't it, Heidi? It's just chaos. And Heidi's done some tremendous research, so we're going to share that here in just a moment. It's great to see everybody there in the chat room. Great to see you guys. Thank you for coming. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. And if you have the ability to let somebody know that we're live over here, because we only have just short of 13,000 subscribers on this channel, and we want to do a live broadcast here every night at 10 o'clock for about a half hour or so, maybe 20 minutes, maybe 30 minutes, maybe 40 minutes, depends what we're talking about, and just give you updates of information, news that you probably don't know about, okay? Information that's not being reported in the mainstream, lamestream media. Or if it is, it's really got a spin on it, and it's not covering it very well. And so we're going to do this every night just here, and help us build our backup channel. Everyone that subscribe, please, if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. Tell others to show up. If you can put a link to this, there's Miss ZD. If you can put a link to and let people know, greatly appreciate it. Folks, we got Ed. We have literally got an unbelievable situation. We have Russian diplomats. We have 8 dead Russian diplomats and 4 more Russian diplomats arrested that have disappeared. I mean, we don't know where they're at. Okay, and this thing is just ugly, and we're not getting the truth by the mainstream media. I mean, we know just recently that the Russian ambassador to the United Nations, Mr. Churkin, died, and he died in his office in New York. Now, you may have remembered him. I have a picture of him here. He was, he got into it with Samantha Power not long ago, and they really got into it, and it was all over, Syria and how that's going to go down. He's dead, and he died just on February 20th. Now I want to go there first of all. On February 20th, he has a daughter. Her name is Anastasia Churkin. This is her, and this is actually on her Twitter account. Okay. And on the day her father died, she did do a few tweets. Now, this was before he died. She works for RT News, for Russia Today. And on the day her father died, she tweeted, "Catch our live reports on RT _com on Passion flying high in London." She then retweeted the real Donald Trump state visit as the prime ministers gear up to debate whether or not to let Donald Trump come to England or not. So she was covering that. She works for Russia Today, and she even retweeted Donald Trump to let him know that she was covering it. And her name is Anastasia Churkin. Anastasia Churkin. But the very day that she did these tweets, her father died mysteriously in New York. The Russian ambassador to the United States. He's actually the Russian ambassador to the United Nations. He's the Russian ambassador to the United Nations. Now, and here's what we have going on with him. When Russia's ambassador to the United Nations died suddenly in New York last week, he became the 6th Russian diplomat to die unexpectedly since November on election day. One of them died on November 8th, election day in the morning. This has left the internet in a tizzy, really, and there has definitely been some conspiracy theories that are starting to run rampant. Here's what's unbelievable. From the time this was printed, 2 more have died. The latest one dying just 4 days ago. And we'll tell you about him in just a moment. Now, Mr. Churkin was 64 years old. He was rushed to the hospital from his office at the Russian UN mission there on February 20th. He became very ill without warning on his way to work. It was initially reported that Mr. Churkin may have suffered a heart attack, but following an autopsy, a medical examiner said his death requires further study. So it's not been ruled a heart attack. They don't know what he died from. I mean, are you serious? Are you serious? Now, he dies, okay? Matter of fact, Heidi's got a PowerPoint she put together, and she's got a link to that PowerPoint, and she may have put that in the chat room box there at my backup channel here at coming_apocalypse. But in the her PowerPoint, Russia's friends or foe, 6 Russian diplomats die unexpectedly, and we don't know why they died, and wait till you hear how they died. That's even part of the really weird. What's the odds? I'm just going to say this. How can 8, and now it's 8, how can 8 Russian diplomats die in 4 months? Are you serious? I mean, that's almost as bad as the bankers, that were dying, and the scientists that were dying, and the holistic medical doctors are dying. Now we got dead Russian diplomats. Now I don't want you to forget about Mr. Churkin, because he was well respected, and it's a very unfortunate thing that he died in New York. Again, his daughter working for RT News. So now let me tell you some more information here about the diplomats dying. The second diplomat that died was the ambassador to India, the Russian ambassador to India, Alexander Katikin. He was 67 years old. He died, they said, after a brief illness, according to the Indian media, which quoted sources saying he died. He had been unwell for a few weeks. Reuters reporting that Mr. Katikin died from heart failure, but few further details are known. This might actually be the only real legitimate natural cause death. I'm not sure. But he died on January 27th, the Russian ambassador to India. He was number 2. Then we have number 3. Number 3 is the Russian consulate in Athens, Greece. His name was Andrei Malinin. He was 55 years old. He was found dead on the bathroom floor in his apartment by another member of the embassy staff there in Greece after he failed to arrive to work or answer his phone. The Greek police officials say there was no evidence of a break-in. The death appeared to be from natural causes, and Mr. Malinin lived alone on a very heavily guarded street there, of course, where the diplomats live. He is the third Russian diplomat to die, and he died there on January the 9th in Greece. And so he was number 3. Well, it doesn't end there, because then you got to deal with number 4. And this is a strange case. Wait till you check this one out. The strange case of the Russian diplomat who got his head smashed in on election day. What? Yes, on our election day, another diplomat died. Now, he died on November the 8th at 7 o'clock in the morning. His name was Sergey Krivov. Sergey Krivov. As far as the paper trail goes, dying is a messy thing, apparently, because even under normal circumstances, but the months since Krivov died, it's proven nearly impossible to find out what he died from and why he died. Matter of fact, the English language news reports are saying that Sergey Krivov, identified as a 63-year-old Russian national, lived in Manhattan, New York, was a security officer, but on November reported from Sputnik that the English language Russian media outlet says he was a consular duty commander. So he was a diplomat. Now, he died, and they found his head bashed in. Separate officers say the cause was listed as no criminology, just natural causes, but the man was found on the floor with his head caved in. The medical examiner's office, though, says their investigation of Sergey Krivov's death remains open, and the cause and manner of death are pending further studies, according to Julie Bolsier, a spokeswoman for the office. There are no results yet to share of his death, but there were witnesses who said that they seen a man had fallen from off the roof of the apartment complex where this man lived, and that he was laying on the ground where he had fallen from off the roof. But then later, and even a police officer saw his body, but then later the body was moved and was found when the paramedics got there. It was found in his apartment, laying on the bathroom floor. Yes, his head was caved in, but doctors are ruling this a heart attack. Well, not all the doctors, not all the medical examiners. Matter of fact, BuzzFeed media published the story that the medical examiner's office said that while it did continue investigating the cause of the death, the office had determined that Sergey Krivov died naturally, even though his head was caved in.
Well, his heart would have died.
Well, your heart will stop if someone throws you off the roof of a Manhattan apartment complex. Are you serious?
Kind of like the dead birds.
I mean, yeah, the dead birds died of blunt force trauma. So will Russian diplomats if you throw them off the roof of a Manhattan apartment building, 9th floor. What? I mean, who's the medical examiners here? They need to be examined. But remember when the dead birds did crash out of the sky, Heidi, on New Year's Eve? 5,000 of them. They did autopsies on 63 and said they none of them had any disease. None of them were now malnourished. They all died of blunt force trauma. They dove into the ground. They didn't die of heart attacks. They died because they hit the ground. And this Russian, did he die of a heart attack or did he die because he hit the ground? And how does a police officer see the guy laying on the ground with his head caved in? But when he calls the paramedics, the guy's no longer there. He's back up in his apartment, dead on the floor of natural causes. Are you serious? If you believe that, folks, I got some oceanfront property in Arizona. From the front porch, you can see the sea. I got some oceanfront property in Arizona. If you buy that, we'll throw a few Russian diplomats in for free. I mean, they're throwing them everywhere anyway. This is really, folks, seriously, with all seriousness here. But wait, there's more on Sergey Krivov. This is a natural death, said Julie Bolsur. We are doing advanced studies, though, to characterize the details of this underlying disease. She called it now a disease. Did he die from a disease? Or did he die from blunt force trauma from falling off the apartment complex? Did the dead man get up and go back upstairs and lay down on the floor of the apartment and die of natural causes? Or was it a disease? But wait, there's more further. The officer said it's not unusual for the New York Police Department to close a case despite the lack of clear cause of death, since the office has said the death was not suspicious. When a guy falls off the top of an apartment and crashes to the street and then gets up and gets into his apartment somehow, and then he's found dead in there with his head caved in, but the medical examiner rules it a heart attack, although the Russian consulate says it was a disease, that would mean suspicious. Would you call that suspicious? We can't go around with suspicious minds. I mean, we bring in Elvis on that, but we don't want to. And then it says, still, they're not going to formally close. The police officers say they're not going to close. It wouldn't be the first time they've ever closed a case, not knowing exactly clearly how someone died, until the medical examiners reach a determination on the death. It's open until you get a cause of death. Okay. And there's been a complete circuit with this case. The case is going to stay open until there's a final determination. It could be homicide. Wait a minute. Did he die of a heart attack or a disease, or is it homicide? It could be something. It could be accidental or whatever. That's the New York Police Department. So a separate medical examiner official says that the body has been released the day after his death, but declined to say to whom the body was released, that the medical examiner no longer has the body, but is now testing continues, suggests toxicology screening of tissue or blood samples. It's not necessarily uncommon for toxicology tests to take weeks or even months to come back, and the medical examiner's office will not specify the kind of further testing being done even. None of the 5 major funeral chapels or funeral homes in Upper Manhattan knew anything about the recently deceased person. So now the guy not only does he get up off the ground after falling off the top of the apartment complex, caving in his head, but somehow winds up in his apartment They rule him dead from a disease or heart attack, or we're not sure. But we can't find the guy's body in any of the morgues. But we do have a toxicology lab is studying, but we haven't got those reports back. But we do have a medical examiner that says that he may have died from disease or heart attack or blunt force trauma, or not sure. Now, while that's going on, a separate medical examiner, I mean, this is worse, guys, than remember the Nicole, what was her name? She died in the Bahamas. Yeah. Ann Nicole, or whatever her name was. Remember how many medical examiners was involved in that?
The very pretty blonde who was dating a lawyer.
Yeah. Who he said the child was his, and then
Baby boy.
but then when they tested the child, it wasn't his. Now there's a big story there, but anyway, a separate medical examiner official said that Krilov's body has been released the day after his death, but declined to say to whom the body was released to. You think the Kremlin come and got it, maybe? That the medical examiner no longer has the body, but testing continues, suggesting toxicology screening of tissue or blood samples. It's not necessarily uncommon, though, for toxicology tests to take weeks or even months. None of the 5 major funeral chapels or funeral homes in Upper Manhattan, none of them have ever received this deceased body. And the New York City Health Department declines, but BuzzFeed requests to search for records related to Krivov's death, saying that by standard practices, any search had to be requested by a family member. The city's burial desk, which tracks documentation for funeral homes, said it only files paperwork, and they don't have any searchable database. They don't even keep records. They don't have any records. They don't keep records on that. Okay? Are you serious? Heidi, what is going on? I mean, is anybody getting anything out of this here? I mean, does anybody know what's going on? How many people have died in this whole situation? Anyway, this is number 4. And I mean, I could go on because it's just like a 3-ring circus trying to find out how this man died. We don't know or why he died. We just know he's dead diplomat number 4. Now, then there's 2 more that died, and they died on the same day, back on the 19th of December. Do you remember the Russian ambassador to Turkey who was killed, shot dead in cold blood, Heidi? Cold blood! They killed the guy in cold blood. His name was Andrei Krivov. He was assassinated there in Ankara, Turkey, at a photography exhibition on the 19th of December. Now, the same day he died, the guy they call the Ghost, Peter Polishakov, was shot dead in his apartment in Moscow. Same day. Just saying. Another dead diplomat from Russia. That makes 6. But wait, there's more, because a few days later, a week later, December 26th, the day after Christmas, we have another diplomat that's dead. Now, this guy was an ex-KGB chief, Oleg Uralvinkin. He was suspected of helping a British spy, a former MI6 agent, draft the dossier on Donald Trump. This guy was found dead in the back seat of his car on December 26th. What in the world was he doing in the back seat of his car dead? Well, Mr. Uralvinkin also was an aide to the former deputy prime minister who now heads up the state-owned oil company. He was found dead in the back seat of his car the day after Christmas, but it was ruled a heart attack. Natural causes. He died of a heart attack in the back seat of his car. But then there's number 8.
Nice Lexus, too.
It was a very nice Lexus, actually. Black. Real deep tinted windows, real dark tinted. Russian mafia type. Russia.
Did you tell them that they just arrested a Russian lady involved in that today?
No, tell us about that. I didn't hear that.
Ankara, Turkey. She was Russian.
Well, she's involved in the assassination of the other guy?
Yes.
She was Russian too?
Yes, she's Russian, but she was in Ankara, Turkey.
And they arrested her today, tied to maybe the assassination of the Russian
She was in
ambassador.
with the assassin.
So we have a Russian who was in Ankara, Turkey. She had been in communication with the assassin who killed the Russian ambassador to Turkey in cold blood. You guys all saw it on video. Terrible scene at the art exhibit. But wait, there's more, because then we have another dead diplomat, number 8, but this one's a Ukrainian. But they're listing him with the Russians. But of course, Russia did take over Crimea, and the little green men have been in and out of Ukraine, so that maybe they're already claiming Ukraine as Russia. You know, doesn't take Putin long. Well, so far we cannot discover why or how the Ukrainian-born millionaire Alex Oranov died. He died 4 days ago, but wait till you hear this story, guys. This will blow your mind. If you want to know why I'm trying to figure this out, you should read Josh Marshall's excellent piece on Donald Trump's longtime friend Michael Cohen, whose brother is married to Alex Orvanov's daughter. So now we have a Ukrainian millionaire named Alex Oranov, who's found dead 4 days ago, who was married to Michael Cohen, married to Michael Cohen's brother's wife, his brother's daughter. You say, well, what's the big deal, Paul? I mean, that's confusing. Michael Cohen is the guy that the dossier said met with the MI6 agent from Britain and the Russian officials in that hotel room somewhere in the Czech Republic. Cohen said he wasn't there. He said, look at my passport. I've never been to the Czech Republic. Matter of fact, I can confirm I was in the University of Southern California watching my son play baseball. Yet
now they're saying it was in a hotel in New York.
Now they're saying it wasn't the hotel in the Czech Republic, but it was in New York. But still, Michael Cohen was in University of Southern California that day, unless he got on a plane, flew back to New York for a meeting later that night in time for it. I don't know. Anyway, Alex Orvanov is dead, and he's dead diplomat number 8 in 4 months. This one, though, tied a little closer to the Donald Trump connection, and being closer related to one of the attorneys of Donald Trump. But you have to understand, Donald Trump has a lot of attorneys. So when you say Trump's attorney, you know, which attorney are you talking about? I mean, the man's got attorneys everywhere for all the business he had. So that doesn't mean that somehow Trump was tied to this. But with, again, it's just...
But it's amazing that the New York Times does this big expose and the man dies the next day.
Yeah, that's the thing about it. They did a big story on this man, and he dies the next day after the New York Times does this big spread on him, trying to link him to Trump. He's dead the next day. What if, here's what I'm thinking. They do this big story trying to link him to Trump. Of course, he's going to deny it, right? He doesn't get a chance to explain because he's dead the next day. Is that weird? Do we find that just a coincidence? Do we find that's anything weird there? Dead men can't talk, folks. Dead men can't talk. But wait, now that's 8 dead diplomats. 7 of them Russian, 1 of them in Ukraine, but the Russians are claiming them. And then we got 4 more Russians here that have been arrested. And this is a weird story. But a senior Russian intelligence officer and cybersecurity investigator arrested last month on treason charges allegedly was passing information to U.S. intelligence agents, U.S. intelligence services, according to a Russian media outlet. Now, this guy's name was Sergey Milov. He worked for the FSB, which is the successor to the KGB. It's like a kissing cousin to the KGB. Okay? The FSB, which used to be the KGB. The guy was arrested in December along with Ruslan Stovanov, who was a top manager for the Russian largest cybersecurity firm. Stovanov has now been charged with suspicion of treason by the Russian government. In addition to these two guys, there's another guy by the name of Dmitry Doviny. He was also an FSB officer. He was arrested in connection with this case. And then a fourth guy was arrested, and we don't even have his name. And get this, when Stovanov allegedly developed a program introduced into a prominent bank's computer system to gather privileged information on customers called REN-TV reports. That information reports that the info was sold to the West. We don't know to who. Now, in another twist, the Russian media says that the FSB believes that Sergey Krivov tipped off the U.S. intelligence about Vladimir Fomenko and his server rental company called King Servers. The U.S. cybersecurity company threat is identified King Servers. Now get this. The Russian newspapers are saying that Sergey Krivov was arrested in a meeting when men came in the room and put a bag over his head and took him away. I mean, are we talking KGB? We talking Russian mafia? We talking Vladimir Putin's henchmen? But I mean, this is how they play. So we have 8 dead diplomats and 4 arrested diplomats, 3 of which we know who they are. 1 we don't even have his last name, and 1 of the 3 got carried away. We've never seen him again with a bag over his head. Not good. Not good at all. You might want to check one of the rivers close there in downtown Moscow at the bottom. It's not a good thing. And that's what's been going on right now. Now, how in the world Chuck Schumer wants to tie Donald Trump into this? Well, Chuck Schumer, Nancy Pelosi are trying to tie him into this through this guy, Sergey Krivov. Sergey Krivov. And if you watch the YouTube video I did earlier today from Heidi's research, we find out that Sergey Krivov is not some kind of weird Russian spy, hiding in the shadows, that nobody knew who he was. And Nancy Pelosi said, I don't even know who he is. I didn't even know he was at the table. I don't even know who he is. She's lying. The guy's been a diplomat for 25 years in New York City and Washington. He's been hanging out rubbing elbows with every congressman and senator in the United States. This guy is the Russian man. Everybody knows Sergey Krivov. So when she said, I didn't even know he was there, I didn't even know, he'd been there 15 years and is sitting there. She's got a meeting with 6 Russian officials. He's one of the 6, and he's been a diplomat 15 years. She's trying to say she don't know who he is. Now get this, Chuck Schumer acts like he don't know who this guy is and tried to say he was a spy. But Heidi dug out some great information. You should check out this video. I did it earlier today, where Chuck Schumer, where this guy, Sergey Krivov, was honored and given a prestigious award. They held an entire gala. And Bill Clinton was the honorary chairman who gave him the award. And Chuck Schumer was one of the honorary committee members recognizing this guy. They all know who he is. He's the Russian ambassador to the United States and has been in Washington, or been in America for over 25 years. Everybody knows his name. He's been to every charitable event and diplomatic outing. And for Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi to go on national television and to pretend they don't know who this guy is and try to tie him somehow to some kind of weird situation with Jeff Sessions, some kind of secret meeting with the Russians, it's just absolute lunacy. It's just flat out lies. It's the hypocrisy that's going on right now. This is the soft coup that's going on in America to try to destroy the United States of America. And we want to do our best to show you the real information. Now, Heidi's got a complete PowerPoint. It will give you the names of every one of these guys that died and their background, their bio, what all the jobs they've had. And nowhere in any of this does it tie to Donald Trump. The only guy that you can try to tie to Donald Trump died 4 days ago. And he's not tied to Donald Trump. He just happens to be married to the daughter of one of Donald Trump's lawyers. And somebody did a big article about him. He's a key Russian player. They did a big article about him in what? The New York Times?
Yes.
And he dies the next day?
Yeah.
March 1st, they do a big story in the New York Times about the guy, how great he is, and he's dead the next day?
Santos here saying that he's from Mobile, Alabama, where Jeff Sessions is from, and that he's a good Christian man.
Thank you. So here we have someone while they're in the chat room right now.
Mm-hmm.
I can see Minister Mike. I see Santos. I see Nancy, Jewel, and Victor, and Hummingbird, and everybody over there. Thank you for that information. Who was it that said that?
Santos.
Santos. Thank you, Santos. So you live in the same. Santos lives in the same area there with Senator Jeff Sessions. He knows he's a good guy, and he is a good man. Trump picks good people. Look at Mike Pence. He picks good people, solid people. Okay? No, they're not all perfect. Nobody is, but you know. So this is really, really, really and Miss ZD's right. She says, sadly, the list will grow. You're right, Miss ZD. Sadly, it will grow because what's happening is the swamp is being drained and the slime starts to reveal. And so what's happening is they're trying to cover their tracks. And Trump is uncovering their sins. And so they're killing off their own. They're killing their own before somebody tells on them. These diplomats of Russia have been in bed with this crowd in Washington, these lobbyists. They've been hanging out with the Washington crowd a long, long time. And now that Trump is starting to drain the swamp, the Russians are dying like flies. Because dead men can't talk, folks. I thought dead men can't walk, but we got the one dude that fell off the top of the apartment who somehow walked in with his head bashed in from 9 floors, and he wound up inside the apartment, and then all of a sudden, mysteriously, he died of a heart attack. That's the only dead man that maybe can walk, but still dead men don't talk, okay? And that's what's going on, folks. You're right. It is an ugly mess in Washington. Well, anyway, Heidi has a complete, and you've put that in there already, haven't you? Mm-hmm. Heidi has a complete PowerPoint presentation on this. It'll give you the names of every one of these Russian diplomats, what their positions were, their entire resumes, and why in the world are these people dying like flies mysteriously, and why are they paying the ultimate price? Because it's the information that they know. They're dying because of their information. Give your life to Jesus Christ. Because we're in the battle we're in is spiritual. It's wickedness in high places. It's murderous spirits operating. It's evil, deception, and people trying to cover their tracks. It is a swamp, but that swamp in Washington extends beyond Washington. You see, the global elitists, the Luciferians, They've been crawling around every government in the world trying to form this new world order, this beast that the Bible talks about in Revelation chapter 13. We're certainly living in the last days. I want you to give your life to Jesus Christ, to accept him as your Lord and Savior, to be born again, because we're running out of time. Please accept Christ as your Savior. I'll be back tomorrow with more YouTube videos. I'll be back tomorrow with a live broadcast at 12 noon. Do I have a guest tomorrow? Or is it?
It's not live.
No, I know, but Wednesday I have a live guest, right? Wednesday
you have Dean Ryan.
Dean Ryan will be my guest on Wednesday. Now, Dean Ryan wrote a book with Oliver Stone's son, Sean Stone, called The New World Order. And Dean Ryan used to work for Alex Jones on InfoWars. Now, I bumped into him actually in Los Angeles a couple weeks ago, and he recognized us. Heidi went over and talked to him, and he said, yeah, I'd love to come on your show. And so he's going to be our guest on Wednesday.
Dean Ryan will be your guest on Wednesday, and
Sunday night, Russ Dizdar is back. Yes, he'll be our guest Sunday night. Russ Dizdar on Sunday Night Live, and he's feeling better. He's coming back, isn't he? With a vengeance. And he's going to be speaking, of course, in the Hear the Watchman conference in Dallas, Texas. And he's going to be speaking with us in Gurnee, Illinois, with the Hagmans at Awaken to the Shaken. All right, it's going to be a powerful time in Gurnee, Illinois. If you haven't registered for that one, you better hurry. I don't know how many seats we got left. They might be gone, for all I know. We're going to try to extend that and get more seats. Okay, we're going to get that worked on to get more seats. So you better get yours. You better get your seat now for the Awaken to the Shaken conference with Russ Dizdar. So we got Dean Ryan on Wednesday, first time ever as a guest, about the New World Order we're going to talk about. Very intelligent young man. And again, he hangs out with Oliver Stone's son, Sean Stone. And
works for Russia Today.
Who does? Sean Stone works for Russia Today. And Sean Stone, who's Oliver Stone's son, works for Russia Today. And Dean Ryan helped write a book with Sean Stone on the New World Order. And of course, Dean Ryan used to work for Alex Jones at InfoWars. So we're going to bring Dean Ryan on as a guest on Wednesday, on the Coming Apocalypse on Wednesday. And then on Sunday night, Russ Dizdar will be our guest. This is going to be a fascinating week. So hang in there. We may have more before it's over. I'll be back with more breaking news and information tomorrow. Please tell somebody you love Jesus Christ and tell them they need to get saved. We're running out of time. The Salvation Station. Wow, I'm going to try to get that video uploaded tomorrow. Show you the progress that's already beginning. The drywall is up, and now the taping and the mudding, and now they're going to start the sanding, I think, on Wednesday. This thing is on a run. We're on a move. We're on a mission for Jesus Christ. God bless all of you. We'll see you guys tomorrow on the Coming Apocalypse. Please subscribe to my channel and tell others to please. Let's build this backup channel. Let's build it up. Before the year is over, let's get this thing to at least 100,000 subscribers by the end of the year. We can do it. We can do it. That's a goal. We got 13,000 right now. Let's get it to 100,000 by the end of the year. We're going to be doing live broadcast almost every night at 10 p.m. on the Coming _Apocalypse. Now I got to turn this thing off, Heidi. And Mike Childers told me how to do it. Up there. And then you go to right here.